Greetings, upstanders. Dr. O here, and I would love to know how Juneteenth went for you. Like, what was the day like? I know when we going through certain things in our society, like Black Lives Matter movement and, Trump administration with all of its racism and the like, certain holidays that are supposed to acknowledge important parts of our experience become more relevant for many people. And that's the case for any holiday for any group of people. But, some holidays are specific towards a group, but this leads to my question. What are you all's thoughts as it relates to who Juneteenth is for, how to acknowledge it, who should be recognizing it? Let me tell you why I'm bringing this up. So some of y'all know my brother Simba, and he brought up this thing where somebody, if a white person says Happy Juneteenth to you, do you say Happy Juneteenth back? Right. So I've seen different stories, right, where some people are saying they would anybody should be able to say Happy Juneteenth. Some people should be saying it's something that should just be said to between black people, or something that should just be said to black people. Like, what does it mean? Like, if I walk up to a white person and I say Happy Juneteenth, because if the fact of the matter is, and look, y'all, I'm here for a conversation. I don't have answers on this one. I'm talking to y'all, to my peeps. If Dr. King said that none of us are free until all of us are free, then that would mean that white people should have wanted slavery to end just as much as anybody else. And of course, there are white abolitionists and people who fought for freedom and everything as well. So what does it mean? I know that when somebody came up to me and said Happy Juneteenth to me who wasn't black, I found it interesting. Like, I personally didn't have a problem with it, but I found myself thinking about it because I heard other people saying that it didn't make sense to them. Do white people say Happy Juneteenth to each other? What about Latinos, Asian, Indigenous? So, well, what does Juneteenth mean to you? So for me, I've always celebrated Juneteenth. Like, it's always been part of my acknowledgement. Part, as a Pan Africanist, it's always been something that I've recognized. So I didn't need the federal holiday to do it. And I know that many of us who are on, who subscribe to this channel are similar to that. You've always recognized it in some way, shape, or form. I always get concerned with new holidays going the route of Christmas, right? Christmas gets completely commercialized. It's all about for many people, not everybody. It's all about the presents. What does getting an Xbox or PlayStation have to do with Jesus, right? So I mean, it's just like, I get concerned with that. We've seen how Kwanzaa has become commercialized in many ways, shapes, and forms, which are problematic for people like myself who have always celebrated it and celebrated the original version of it. But if you're talking about getting a PlayStation for Kwanzaa, then there's a disconnect there, right? So as I concerned with that with Kwanzaa, and I've written about that, in my book, Lies About Black People. This is something I also get concerned about, with Juneteenth, which I've also written about. Should people be saying Happy Juneteenth to you, right? Or to us? Should it be more of a commemoration versus a holiday? We're still in the infancy of the holiday sense of Juneteenth, and I think that these are discussions that are worthy to have. As far as I'm concerned, I'm definitely interested in the intent behind anybody who says it, but I also don't want it to be like, when like you go on a flight and you get checked in by the TSA people, and then the TSA people say have a great flight, and you say you too, and they're not going anywhere. Like, we've all done that, and I know the TSA people are probably like, whatever, this is what people say all the time. But we're just thinking of returning a nice thought, but it's really not a thought that's going to be actualized because that person's not. I don't want that to be the case as it relates to Juneteenth. The people are just saying it, but don't really understand the significance of it. And so I think that in this time, and another thing that bothered me was I was talking to people about what they were going to do on the day and so on and so forth, and some people started joking like, oh, is it still on? Like, are we still going to have it? Like, did Trump, didn't he get, is he getting rid of that next? And my thought with that was, what they do shouldn't matter to how we recognize days that are specifically of relevance to our ancestors. I think that's extremely important. And some people will say, "Well, you're Congolese American, but I'm black though, and I'm black in America." So that's part of, as far as I'm concerned, that's part of my cultural history too, because all of us in Black America suffer the consequences of what happened during slavery. So I'm not here for that separate conversation. Or, well, your parents were nah. Cops ain't asking that. School systems ain't asking that. They ain't separating between Congolese American and African American from Louisiana. So let's just get that out the way. So yeah, yo, let's have the discussion. What did you think? What was your Juneteenth like? What has your Juneteenth been like? Has it been different since the official holiday came recognition under Biden? Let's have it and make sure as we're continuing to build our community that we continue to make sure that we're honoring Juneteenth and the legacy of our ancestors in the way that we see fit. Not let it become commercialized, not let other people tell us how we're supposed to celebrate it. None of those things. We have to make sure that it's our own. And I think discussions like this can be helpful. So holla at your boy. What are your experiences? Am I off on something? Am I spot on something? Am I somewhere? Are you somewhere in the middle? I'm here for the discussion because this is a learning experience for me too. All right, y'all. Take care. Peace.